What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Two Goalies, One Mic, brought to you, of course, by Fatty Beer Company, Western New York's premier market and tap room with over 300 beers to choose from at 7 different Western New York locations. If you need a beer, always make it a Fatty Beer. Let them know that Two Goalies, One Mic sent you. Of course, our other sponsors at Impulse Physical Therapy, located at 5087 Broadway, Suite 100 in Depew, New York. Impulse Physical Therapy has a 5-star staff, 5-star facilities. If you have any type of slip and fall at work like I did, any type of sports-related injury, get back on your feet and get back on the field of their ice with Impulse Physical Therapy of Western New York. Again, located at 5087 Broadway, Suite 100 in Depew, New York, directly next to Catalyst Fitness. I'm actually heading there again tomorrow night to continue what I hope to be my journey back to the ice. We'll see if they can get me back there, hopefully by the summer season for beer league. And of course, shout out to Extreme Discount Mattress with Western New York's finest selection of mattresses and adjustable beds, featuring the cool gel memory foam 2-sided mattresses, Tillelay latex, organic mattresses, Chatham & Wells, Scott Living, and even the Skechers mattress, all for a third to a half of the supposed sale prices everywhere. Stop into any of their 7 locations in Western New York, or check out their website, which is extrememattress.com. Extreme with an X. If you're looking for even more savings, check out their new closeout center at 1625 Walden Avenue in Cheektowaga with up to 80% off their already low prices. Save a fortune on one-of-a-kinds, closeouts, and floor samples. You can get a quality mattress for literally pennies and a dollar. Extreme Discount Mattresses. We sell mattresses for less, a lot less. Also, don't forget to mention that if you are buying a mattress that you're a fan of Two Goalies with Mike, you get a free matching mattress protector with your purchase. And Hurls, I actually got to speak to our contact over at Extreme Discount Mattress today, and we he mentioned that a few guys came in last week and did buy mattresses on the Two Goalies One Mic discount, so that was pretty cool to hear. So hopefully again, they're getting a great quality mattress, and just again mention that you are a fan of the show and get yourself a free mattress protector.
Yeah, sleep well out there, everybody.
Sleep well, especially with these late games that are going to be coming up for you brave souls to watch.
Not for me.
Well, yeah, not for you because you're on West Coast time, but for me, who I have to work obviously early morning after 7 o'clock, 8 that 7:30 start was tough last night because I don't think I got done uploading the show until almost midnight. But yeah, man. Good luck, and hopefully you do have a quality sound mattress after in Western New York if you are watching these Sabres After Dark games that are be soon coming up on this big road trip. Would you say, we'll get into this too, but would you say this is the most important road trip of the season already? I think it is.
Yeah, 100%. And also, given that this is the exact time period where the season unraveled last year, I think they have a point to prove not only to themselves, but to the league that they need to be taken seriously. This is the best version of their roster that they've had probably all season long, even though Kesselring won't join on this trip. I think it was reported earlier. It still is the healthiest they've been the entire season. So it looks like tomorrow night, I think I saw from practice today that Colton Ellis had his own net at practice, which is usually an indication that he was getting the most reps, and he's going to be the starter tomorrow night against the Flyers on the road, which I'm not necessarily surprised by because he's performed relatively well, aside from the Flames game, which the whole team was horrible. So Ellis gets the net tomorrow night, and then the next game would be Friday in Winnipeg, and it'll likely either be depending, who knows? Let's say Colton Ellis goes out there and has a great game on Wednesday. I wouldn't be surprised if he started on Friday. That's kind of how this is going.
Yeah, I would check the connection on your mic there, Hurls. It's coming a little staticky. See if maybe you got to unplug it, plug it back in. Maybe that'll help. But you definitely coming a little sketchy there. Yeah, I totally agree with you. You're right that this was the time that the train went off the rails for the Sabres last season. Obviously, Thanksgiving this month between Thanksgiving and Christmas time, that's a good measuring stick for where you're going to be. Obviously, the Olympics are also right around the corner too. Where you're also going to as a GM, you almost get like 2 trade deadlines, right? You get the one where they put through the roster freeze heading into the Olympic break, and then you have obviously the trade deadline itself. So, as a GM, this is a good time to kind of feel where your team is at and what adjustments you'll have to make. And again, the Sabres have proven that they can skate with some of the best teams in the league. They beat Carolina, they beat the Wild. They had that win last night. They can beat good teams in this league. They can skate with good teams. And just what a breath of fresh air it is to have what hopefully will continue to be a healthy Josh Norris in this lineup. And again, I don't know what they're going to do with the center position, if that is going to be the line, ride or die, no matter what. Lindy does like to mix up lines, but he seems to looks for any excuse to keep Tage on the wing, no matter what. I personally, I don't agree with it. I know you don't, but we'll see how this goes. Your thoughts. Where do you for this to be a successful road trip? How many points do you need to see them come out with?
Testing 1 2 3. You hear me?
Much better.
Okay, cool. I was talking about it a little bit with people online earlier. I think a successful road trip is 7 of 12 points. You're staying alive road trip is 7 of 12 or more, and then you're still in the conversation is 6 of 12. So you're staying right around 500. You're at least keeping your head above water. Anything 5 points or less on this road trip, I believe they'll be on their way out. That's kind of how this has gone the past few years, where they have this midseason lull that if they only get 2 of the 6 games, or they win 2 and they lose another one in overtime, and that some combination. I would like to see 7 or more from a healthy lineup against a relatively easy stretch of teams. A lot of these teams have injuries. A lot of them are underperforming. If you look at a team like Calgary, obviously everyone was so upset about that game at home a couple weeks ago, but it's one of the worst teams in the league. You look at a team like the Jets last night. They don't have Connor Hellebuck. They don't have their full infantry at the moment, especially compared to last season. The Flyers game will be tough tomorrow night. They're a good team. They've been pretty good at home. They're in a wild card spot at the moment. And this is the typical midweek away game after a big win at home where everyone expects this Sabres team to come out and lay an egg. So hopefully they all recognize that, because they've been on this type of stretch this season. They'll win a big game, or they'll win 2 games in a row, and then they'll come out the next night flat. So hopefully that gives them some motivation going into tomorrow night specifically. And of course, you got to look at it in the scope of a 6-game road trip. But if I'm them, of course, you're aware of the standings. Lindy has said before that he's got the standings in the locker room. I think you look at it tomorrow night. If you successfully, in any way, whether it's regulation, overtime, or shootout, get 2 points tomorrow night, that should be considered a success. It's your first 3-game win streak of the season. You have your healthiest lineup that you have in a while. And I think that would be 4 or 5 or 4 of 6, 4 of the last 6. That, in my opinion, would be a great stepping stone to start the road trip, go into it, and have a little mojo going forward.
Yeah, and the Flyers are coming off a tough loss last night to the Pittsburgh Penguins, who somehow, even with all the the aging players on that team, are somehow having the season that they're having. How about Sidney? Not to step away from the Sabres, how about Sidney Crosby with 18 goals in 25 games right now at 38 years old?
And one dive and one, in my opinion, purposeful hit to take out Dahlin in the game they played against the Sabres. I caught the vitriol of the Penguins fan base online during that game. I didn't know there was a Beyonce like Sidney Crosby hive out there, but I tweeted something along the lines of like, "Oh, the Golden Boy's always going to get his calls, and he'll get them to the end of time." And I also mentioned the FBI.
That was such a bad dive too. Oh my god.
Yeah, probably the wrong organization to mention at the moment. Please don't come for me. Please don't come for me, FBI. But I mentioned the FBI to arrest Sidney Crosby, and people got really upset.
Whatever.
But going on, doesn't matter. Yeah, he's a great player. He's going to go.
I think it's just insanity that he's on pace for
top 5 player of all time,
no doubt. And I think even Gretzky was on record, or maybe I could be wrong on record. He thinks that Crosby's way better than he ever was.
I mean, he plays a different game, but I would say that the scope of his game as a complete player, he's probably a better all around player. I'd say. I agree,
but on pace for 57 goals at age 38, which he just hit .1600. Like, was it last week? And I pointed out like that. What's the most insane thing about that? Or no, sorry, 1600. He was at over 1,700 points, but he hit goal 640, whatever it was, to move up on the all-time list. Which insane to me that he has that many goals and he's closing in on 700 goals. I mean, he could hit it, because he's probably going to play at least one more season. But the fact that he's only scored 50 goals in his career one time, like, that's insanity to me. Like, you would think there's probably a couple of 50 goal season spring. Nope, only one. The guy has been like consistently though, like a 25 to 30 plus goal scorer every single year of his career, just about. I mean, minus probably some shortened seasons. But like, that to me is an insane stat that the guy has only scored 50 once in his entire career.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that too. But at the same time, I don't think of Sidney Crosby as a goal scorer either. I think of him as the guy that gets to the corner, creates a turnover, has eyes in the back of his head, always knows where to be, always knows where his teammates are. He has made guys' careers. Chris Kunitz became an NHL player, or became a very good NHL player because of Sidney Crosby. You can think of a guy like Connor Sheary. You can think of a guy like Jake Gensel. A lot of these guys' careers were made specifically because of Sidney Crosby. But this is a Sabres podcast. We don't need to talk about that criminal.
No. I understand it's a Sabres podcast, but it's just like, I know I hate obviously the dive that, and what happened to him and Darlene, but at the same time, it's just like, it's incredible that we've lived in a generation that has had guys like Crosby and Ovechkin and McDavid, and just being able to watch those guys their entire careers is something special.
Yeah, no, it's pretty remarkable. And
your mic is going a little wonky again.
Again? Jesus.
Yeah, it's got to be the cord, man. I'm telling you.
Please hold. Please move on to the next topic.
No, we'll move on to the next topic. Anyways, Pittsburgh coming off a big win over Philadelphia just last night. So you got to imagine Philly, who's 14-8 right now, and with some loser points sprinkled in, that they're going to be coming probably pretty pissed off to start this road trip. But I look at that schedule that Buffalo has. You have to start off with Philly, then Winnipeg, then Calgary. Personally, with the way they're playing, and I just have zero confidence at all in Philly's goaltending, that we could easily, I shouldn't say the word easily, but you can come out there with 6 out of 6 points, I think.
In the next 3 games?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but has this team shown us anything to this point that's actually going to happen?
No, but I think that we're, cue the Josh Norris effect. I think that matters so much more than people might realize.
I will say, I was just looking up Philly's goalie stats. Dan Vladar has actually had a really good year.
Is he playing well? Because I remember seeing some stats on like Earson, and their numbers were awful.
Yeah, so Erson's not great, but depending on who starts tomorrow night, Vladar is 10-5-1 with a 2.59 and a 9.06. So
not terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I would say anything under .275 and over 900 in today's NHL, especially for like a non-star goalie. That's pretty good. And even their forwards, they're getting contributions from a lot of guys. And a guy who many people might not expect to be leading them in points based upon his trajectory the past couple of years and all of the talk and all of the bullshit.
It cost what, a 3rd-round pick?
Trevor Zegras, 25 points in 25 games, 9 goals and 16 assists to lead the team in points by 5 points. It's pretty remarkable. I would have loved Trevor Zegras on the Sabres.
I was right there with you, man. Like I never really understood the hate. Like people thought he was soft because he smiled and had fun a lot. You know what I mean? And
I think the word soft gets thrown around way too often.
It gets
thrown around by people who have never played hockey. And I just think that you have to look at a player for what he can offer and figure out, especially with his pedigree and his body of work, how he can fit your roster and how he can help you, rather than being like, oh, he's too pretty. He's like not old school NHL. You know who would have hated Trevor Zegras? The after the whistle guys. They would have been like, oh, that's not the type of guy we need. Meanwhile, he's leading the Flyers in points and they're in a wild card spot.
Gonna take some heat for that one.
I don't care, man. It's ridiculous.
I love
it. Guys get reputations way too early and unjustifiably based upon like a perception of them rather than looking at what skills and what they can offer, right? Trevor Zegras is an unbelievable playmaker.
So talented.
And he has been since his 2 years before his draft year. Do you remember that World Junior Classic but prior to the championship game, he was in Canada and he did an interview in the lobby of their arena. He was like, yeah, we're going to go in, we're going to get into the corners, we're going to take the puck away, and we're going to beat them at their own game, and we're going to win. And they won 2-0, and he had 2 assists in the game. That is Trevor Zegras to a T. He'll talk shit. He'll do a no-look behind the back pass. He'll flip a pass over the net to Sonny Milano in Buffalo, who batted it out of the air. I just think that, I don't know. It's frustrating, and it's.
I still think that was a high stick, but that happened live on ESPN, and there's no chance a goal like that was getting overturned when it was.
And I think it was close enough that it was too hard to prove that it was a high stick.
Yeah, it could have went either way. I just remember vividly that I remember just watching. It's like that's a high stick. I think that if that was called a high stick on the ice, it would have stood. Put it that way.
And I'd like to address one comment without getting into the discussion that we got into last night. John, I forget the rest of his username. I acknowledge that you've played hockey and that a lot of people do think Owen Power soft. That's fine. I think that I wouldn't necessarily call him soft. I would call him unaware and undeveloped to the point in his own zone. I don't necessarily think he's a soft player. I think he's a very good player in many aspects of his game that people don't acknowledge. And people have this perception of him. And anytime he does something remotely wrong, that factors into this conversation around Owen Power. But no, I don't think he's a soft player personally.
We disagree. I think he's a very soft player. Just because the things that you're asking him to do physically aren't like, you're not asking him to do the things you're seeing Matthias Samuelsson do this season.
I guess my thing though, he's not necessarily a physical player, but I don't necessarily think that makes him soft, right? You
don't have to be a physical player though to just use your size.
Yeah. No, and I get that. But he
doesn't do that.
I also think he uses his skating ability really well. And I think he uses his length and he uses his gap control in a way that he's not as bad, especially on rushes and gap control at the blue line. I think he's pretty good. So I don't know. People have
different. Trust me, there are parts of his game that are good, but
really good.
When you get red lining in your own end, he's
I guess I'm addressing one aspect of what people consider about evaluating a defenseman. I think his puck retrievals are really good. I think he's great at breakout passes. I think he's good at gap control coming into the defensive zone and limiting guys on rushes, especially given how good of a skater he is, especially going backwards. And yeah, he could use his size a little bit more. He could use a little bit more physicality, and he needs to be better in front of his own net. But I think we need to acknowledge the entire profile. And obviously the points aren't necessarily coming at the moment, but he's creating chances. So I don't know. I think it's a nuanced conversation.
Your microphone's going on. I think it's because you're moving it around and stuff. That might be it, because you're holding the mic. I don't know. We do have a question for you, Hurls, in the chat from John. Hurls, as a goalie, would you want Power in front of you purely from a defensive perspective, not offensive?
Are we talking beer league or what are we talking?
If you're playing in the National Hockey League, if you're living the dream, you made the show.
Yeah, I think I would say that.
Be honest.
No. At this current moment, he needs to be better. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay. At this current moment, I even said it last night. Like, he needs to be better. I think we've all acknowledged that. But to say that I wouldn't want him on my team, no, I want him on my team.
No, I'm just saying. I'll add on to his question. 2 minutes left in the game. You're defending a lead. Darlene's out of the game. Do you want Owen Power out there defending a 1-goal lead?
Well, I said it last night and I'll say it again. I think he's been the third best defenseman on the team this year. So I think I want Samuelsson and Power. Yeah, I do. Because
I'm taking Timmins.
But like in that situation though, in that situation, Samuelson's going to be in front of the net and Power will be in the corner to hopefully use his length and his skill to take away passing lanes, to retrieve the puck, to get it down the ice. In my humble opinion, I think it should be Samuelsson and Power on the ice, personally.
Ah, man, you're getting scored on then. Just putting it out. You're getting scored on.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you can point to the Pittsburgh. You can point to the Pittsburgh play.
It's not just the Pittsburgh.
No, but like
what times this season.
I know it's tough in these situations, but can you think of another, at least recently in the past few weeks, specifically a play in front of his own net where he has been grossly unaware or grossly soft, as people say, as he often gets criticized about? I personally can't.
I just can't remember instant for instance. I just remember screaming at the TV when it happened.
Yeah, and that's
I can't
fine.
remember frame for frame which game.
Yeah, no, and that's fine.
Happened.
I mean, and
no
maybe it has happened, but for the criticism and the vitriol for it to be as loud as it is, I think there should be more examples of it rather than people hanging on.
Well, there are examples of it. I think just here's why. I think here's why the Pittsburgh play was so polarizing is because even the analytics talking heads were coming out of like the people who are adamant Owen Power defenders.
Well, I wouldn't
like
that
this is bad.
That play's not polarizing. That play was just bad.
Well, I say polarizing to the point where it made the most adamant Owen Power defenders come out like, yeah, that's bad. This keeps happening. Like Chad, for instance. Like Chad flat out said, that he was over him, and he literally broke that play down. Said he literally watches him skate in the whole way. Stick doesn't tie up his stick and lets him go right by him.
And I'll give you the 3-on-3 overtime defending. He's been in a couple situations that have also been pretty bad this year. But I will also say that defending in 3-on-3 overtime from a team perspective has been really bad too. Like a lot of these guys just have not known what to do in those situations, which also comes down to coaching. Like if those guys aren't prepared for a situation that very well could happen in any given game, like that's gotta change, right? And we can complain about coaching of this team until the cows come home, but I think that it just needs to be better all around. Quickly on the topic of defense, I saw I think the Sabre Report tweeted it out today, and also a few other people just specifically related to Darlene's numbers since he's returned, which I think that was that game in Detroit. I think it was November 15th. His expected goal share, I think he has 8 assists in 9 games since he's returned. his expected goal share and in terms of the chances for the team while he's on the ice and chances against are all extremely positive. And I know people don't necessarily always follow analytics, but like if you look at a graph of it, it's as if it's like a steep climb up Everest. So it appears that he's kind of turned a corner in terms of how he's controlling play while he's on the ice, which is the best possible sign for the entire team.
Yes. I mean, again, like you said, it's like kind of all relative, but going back, getting kind of back on topic before we veered off, obviously with the comments with the Owen Power stuff. This road trip, we talk about the 3-goalie rotation. Lindy kind of alluded today while being interviewed that a roster decision is going to be made fairly soon. They can't carry 6 defensemen, just 6 defensemen on this road trip. There's no way. You have to have a 7th guy. So somebody kind of has to get sent down or some move has to be made, right? And I'm going to see if I can find it, the exact quote. But your opinion, obviously, we're pretty much assuming or pretty much being told that Ellis is starting tomorrow against Philly. How do they handle this 3-goalie rotation throughout this road trip? Because again, they don't come back to Buffalo until December 18th, ironically again against the Philadelphia Flyers at home. But how do you handle this?
I have no idea how they're going to handle it. And I would say that it's probably going to be something similar to how they've done all year, but I don't feel confident about that. I think Ellis gets the game tomorrow night. If he plays well, there's a chance he plays Friday. They're not going to start him 3 games in a row. And at that point, it'd be like a week and a half since Lyon started. So maybe you go back to Lyon. But it seems like they've really not forced, but they've elected to start UPL a lot recently. So I wouldn't be surprised if he got the game after that. And then I think there's only one back-to-back, which is the Edmonton and Calgary games next Monday and Tuesday. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think and that would make the first 4 games of the road trip. Yeah, I think you're going to see all 3 goalies in the first 4 games. I just don't know what combination.
Yeah,
and I know it sucks and it's super frustrating, but that's just kind of what the situation is at this point. So it's not even worth groveling about. I think eventually they're going to have to make a decision, but at this current moment, they're rolling with it. And if it's keeping these guys fresh, someone argue that it's not, that it's taking guys out of a rhythm. I think it's kind of a two-way street, right? Like at points, they're all playing well, but at other points, they're all not playing well. And I think that's just more of a goaltending conversation that it just generally needs to be more consistent because the defense, the team defense, I saw other numbers today that showed that they're actually relatively good this year compared to the rest of the league. I think they're 13th in the league in expected goals against, which is not bad at all. But the goaltending needs to improve and also the finishing in the power play to just generally help out the entire team picture. But yeah, you go with Ellis tomorrow night, and then depending on how he plays, I guess you see for Friday.
Are you still using your microphone or are you using the laptop now?
I'm using the microphone.
Maybe just disconnect the microphone for now and just use the laptop audio. I think that's what you get. I think that's the route you got to go right now because it's good for like 5 minutes and then it just goes static again. I'm not sure if maybe I'm the only one hearing. I'm not sure if our listeners can hear that.
Okay.
You hear me now? We're good now. Perfect now. Yeah. Cool. So I got the quotes pulled up from Lindy today. Lindy Ruff said the Sabres will need to add another defenseman to the roster, but they may not do it until they head to Winnipeg. Michael Kesselring won't join the team on the trip. He'll continue to rehab skate in Buffalo. They currently only have 6 defensemen with Zach Metza being sent back to Rochester. So, like, what does that mean? Like, is it Ryan Johnson? I mean, Jacob Bryson obviously is already up. How are they going to, like, is this a trade? I mean, are they going to add this defenseman via trade? I mean, we saw, Jason here in the chat. Could we see a UPL and Ryan Johnson for Jake Wallman after the Oilers game? Because the Wallman name has been thrown around. Obviously, UPL's name has been attached to Edmonton through other Sabres talking heads. But I think it was Elliot Friedman said that the Sabres didn't seem like they were inclined on moving UPL at that time. But like, I mean, you cannot, with obviously a road trip like this being this far away from home, you know, it's not like you just fly a guy out on a whim and expect him to be game ready, you know, on a road trip like this. So you want to bring another guy with you. Is this going to happen via trade? Because I mean, the reality is if you were going to have a guy come from Rochester, you would have just kept Jack Metza up, right? Like he would have been here with you.
Yeah, maybe. Or like you said, like it could be Ryan Johnson. So,
Yeah.
In-season trades are tough. Like they really are. And I'd be shocked personally. I just don't think it's going to happen. And I think it's more than likely going to be they're just trying somebody new. Like they had Metza for a little bit. I would say the most likely possibility is Ryan Johnson.
I would think, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe crazier things have happened, right? Like they've got a lot of prospects, they've got a lot of picks, and they have 3 goalies, and it doesn't look like they're going to be trading either Alex Lyon or Colton Ellis. So if it is UPL, then so be it. You know, I think a lot of people would be happy.
I mean, again, I think on this podcast we've been pretty critical of UPL and myself specifically, but like at the end of the day, you just want to win. I don't care who's in net. I just want to win hockey games. I don't care if it's fucking Sabretooth in that, you know, during the I don't care. Just win hockey games. Bill Hope tweeted out that Tyson Kozak got a little banged up too at the end of the Minnesota game. He could play, but he would have to be 100%. So there's already an injury that might be lingering too. A guy that, you know, you depend to take face-offs and has been particularly pretty successful in the face-off circle. So I don't know, man. For me, it's like what I don't know. Ryan Johnson, he's a left-handed shot defenseman, right? I think he's a lefty.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'd want to bring, and Zach Metza was a right-handed shot defenseman. It would have made sense to keep him up.
Yeah, maybe. So if that's an indication a trade is coming, by all means, I think it would inject some life into this organization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Talk about the play of Josh Doan. Josh Doan has been not just a breath of fresh air, but it just, you know, instantly turned into a fan favorite. You know, we talked about it last night. There's been a lot of narrative, especially today on social media, about the JJ Peterka trade and Josh Doan. Like, I had this conversation earlier today at work. Like, I think the Sabres might have won that trade on Josh Doan alone.
Yeah, and I think that if you're just comparing those two players, I think it's kind of an even swap, right? Like the Mammoth got what they wanted in finishing, goal scoring, and rush chances, and the Sabres got what they wanted in playmaking, defensive responsibility, and tough nose forechecking. So that singular aspect of it can be a win for both sides. I don't necessarily think you need to go into the weeds of being like, oh, Josh Doan's a better player than JJ Peterka. Peterka's better than Josh Doan. They're very different players. So it doesn't have to be this direct comparison because you can't do that. I think each team identified that they needed more of something else and they had a conversation and went out and got it. But the fact that you add a potential second pair, long-term, big, physical, defensively responsible, right-handed defenseman in Michael Kesselring to that deal, I think it makes it obviously shift a little bit more in the Sabres end. But the concept, obviously everyone says won the trade. That's only a thing to fans. Like GMs don't think about whether they won the trade or not. They think about whether the guys that they got helped them win games. So Josh Doan currently has been a big factor in helping the Sabres win games. And if he can continue to do that, and obviously it's great that he's a fan favorite and people love him. I think Alex Tuck, when he first came over after the Jack Eichel deal, he was automatically a fan favorite, of course, given the history and the connection to the organization and to the community. But it's going to naturally happen. Even look at Ryan McLeod. Like, people were frustrated with how many similar prospects that the Sabres were accruing, and they went out and got a guy who was different than Matthew Savoy. Same thing with Bowen Byram and Casey Middlestat. They had a lot of skilled forwards that weren't necessarily the best defensively, and they went out and got a defenseman who, playing with Dahlin, he was amazing. Playing without Dahlin, not so much. But, he can give you some offensive upside here and there, just like we saw last night with his goal on the rush to make it 2-0, which turned out to be the game-winning goal. So, yeah, I do commend Kevin Adams in the sense that he's made some legitimately good hockey trades. And I think he's at least thrown a few darts at the board to be in a very tough situation that the Sabres are, not being able to acquire free agents and a lot of players in the league having them on their no-trade list.
Yep. Alex Tuch contract conversations. He was on Sabres Live today, kind of talking about it. He didn't really necessarily avoid the question, but he kind of played the whole I'm just focused on hockey routine. We have a lot of games coming up, just focus on getting wins. He says we're playing every other day. I've talked to my agent. I haven't talked to my agent in days. Actually, let me see if I can pull this whole thing up real quick. Personally, I've been focused on hockey. We're playing every other day. I haven't talked to my agent in days, or I don't even know when the last time I talked to him. And honestly, I don't know where. I just know that there are conversations. I mean, I don't know what their rumors are. Anything, I stay away from those. But I'm just worried about playing hockey, helping my team win in any way possible. Given the season he's having. Obviously, I think that fans would like to probably have seen a little more consistency out of Alex Tuch, again, especially considering like the contract demands, the comparables, what you're hearing from certain talking heads, and the money that he wants. Again, we continue to probably go back to the Adrian Kempe comparison. Like, they're literally having the same season right now. Literally, and he just got paid I think it was 10.6, whatever it is per season. I think fans will be fine with that number because, again, in a few years, that's 8% of your total cap. So it's not that bad of a number in the grand scheme of things. A few years, especially when you're paying Tage under $8 million a season, that's fine by me. But where do you see this right now? Because if the Sabres are trucking along and they're pushing for a playoff spot, that does become a difficult decision for a guy probably, honestly, the most difficult decision he's ever had to make as a GM, because you don't want to lose Alex Tuch for nothing. And I know we're having this conversation 20 something games into the season, but it is a conversation I think that's worth having. If he's not signed by, say, the Olympic break, what do you do if you're Kevin Adams?
Well, I guess that conversation comes down to whether Kevin Adams is going to be making that decision. I think it depends on where the team is at the Olympic break, where they are in the standings. If they are out of the race, I think that Jarmo is likely making that decision.
Yeah, you would hope
that Kevin Adams, on the last year of his deal, is on his way out or already out. So I think it is a conversation that can't necessarily be had in that sense at this point, because we don't know where the team is going to be. But for all the talk of Alex Tuch being inconsistent, he needed to step it up. Saw a lot of chatter on that, especially throughout November. Leads the team in points at this current moment. He's got 23 points in 26 games. He obviously has a 4-assist game in there the other night during the Blackhawks game in the rout, which kind of weighs it a little bit. But I was just looking at his game logs. There's only been a few games where he can point to where he did nothing. I think that he has come on as of late. He's playing a closer style of game to the Alex Tuch that we're used to, and he's been unbelievable on the penalty kill.
He's honestly a top 3 penalty killer in the league.
Yeah, he's the best, one of the best penalty killers in the league, and he's on the best penalty kill in the league, which is largely the best penalty kill in the league because of both him and McLeod and Samuelson. So I just think that he's got all the leverage in the world, and I think he knows that. And I think the Sabres know that. So I think they're really, truly focusing on getting in a position to stay in contention, to hopefully make the playoffs. And I think that's the best possible situation for everybody. If Alex Tuch is close to the team lead in points, he's going to make 10.5, 11 million per year. If they fall off in December on this road trip and in January up until the Olympic break, then he's likely a trade candidate. So I don't know. It's really hard to say.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you because, we mentioned before, I'm assuming there's going to be a roster freeze heading into the Olympics. Like GMs do get essentially two trade deadlines here. And like a mini trade deadline, obviously heading into the Olympic break and the trade deadline itself. I think there is a realistic chance that, to your point, if the season does kind of go off the rails on this road trip, and maybe you finally do get that hard decision that needs to be made. Honestly, it shouldn't be hard about changing GMs midseason, and having that guy already wait in the wings waiting in Jarmo Kekalainen, which I'm still trying to figure out what exactly he does as a senior advisor. But listen, like, I think there's a realistic chance that after the Olympic break, Alex Tuch is no longer a Buffalo Sabre.
Yeah, I do really believe it depends on where they are. So I guess we'll see.
We do have one last question here before we get to our final thoughts. What are you thinking the Doan and Benson contracts could look like? Got to sign them this summer too.
It's a good question. I don't know what a relative figure would be at this moment. I think we had this discussion yesterday about how Dahlin got a bridge deal, Sam Reinhart probably never should have gotten a bridge deal, but he did.
No.
A lot of guys have gotten bridge deals. I think Benson will be 21, 22. I think Doan is probably 20, 23, 24. Let's see how old he is. He is 23 and turns 24 February 1st. So, yeah, I mean, I think those guys are focal points of what you want in your organization, right? Like, they play the game the same way. They're very good playmakers. Obviously, Benson hasn't proved he can be a goal scorer at this point in his career yet, but I do think that's coming. I would say hopefully somewhere at least 3 years for each guy, potentially more. I mean, if we're talking about who matters more, I would put them at very similar levels. I really would. Like, if you can get 5 or 6 years out of each guy at 6 or 7 million per, I would take that in a heartbeat.
We've only gotten such a small sample size so far of Josh Doan. And obviously there was a lot of criticism when that trade was made, right? Because Kesslering, it was, and it probably still is, like the centerpiece of that deal. But, there was so many things that were kind of like unknowns about Josh Doan that we've been able to see firsthand and kind of like proven the haters wrong, or if you want to call them haters. If there's two players, I feel very confident, not named Rasmus Dahlin, giving them long-term extensions this early in the career. I think I'm going to say Zach Benson and Josh Doan, because they leave it all out on the ice every single game, and you never question anything when it comes to effort with them. I think they're very high-character hockey players. Zach Benson is just he's a warthog. Like, literally, he instigates, he agitates, he has yet to score a goal, but once he does start scoring goals, I think he'll start to go on a tear. But, like, he does everything right and plays the game its way it's supposed to be played, especially for his size. And then Josh Doan, a guy who does a lot of the same things and just has good hands. I think he has sneaky, deceptive, good hands. And, he plays such a hard-nosed, blue-collar game. I hate using those words because they're such, like, buzzwords and cliche sayings, but, like, it's so true. Like, he plays that style of hockey, and he plays the way this team needs to play in order to win hockey games. It's for a lack of a better way of saying it, because you're not going to be able to win on this team just on like finesse. Like, if anything, like, you need to score. Like, how many goals have you seen out of, like, I think it's 8 or 9 goals this season? Were they finesse goals?
Not many. They're all right in front of the net.
Yeah, that's how they're going to win games this season. And I have no reservations at all of giving him a long-term deal. None whatsoever.
It's crazy to say though, because like last season he played 51 games for the Utah Hockey Club. He had 19 points in 51 games. In 26 games for the Sabres this season, he has 18 points. So he's almost surpassed his total from last year with Utah. And obviously he's in a much bigger role with the Sabres. He's on the top line a lot of nights, not anymore, but he's on the top power play unit, which he likely never was with Utah. So he's shown that given a larger responsibility that he can not only handle it, but thrive in it. And yeah, I'd have to agree. You'd like to see a little bit more in him to continue to produce consistently. But yeah, I'd love to see 5-6 years deals for each of these guys. With
no doubt about it.
At least $5 million, potentially more.
And we talked about that last night, like when you talk about like kind of hating on players that have left Buffalo and the way they left. Like you talk about Josh Doan and like he's getting the same opportunities here that we gave Peterka to start his career. You know what I mean? It's almost kind of like similar situations, right? Like he wasn't, granted, obviously Peterka, this is the team he started with. You had nothing to compare it to, but like he's getting the same opportunities we gave to JJ Peterka, and he's thriving in those situations. So yeah, I've loved it, man. I've loved everything I've seen from Josh Doan. Like, I'm starting to become very anti-buy jerseys, but I think I'd feel comfortable given the opportunity if I had the money to buy a Josh Doan jersey. I think that'd be an easy credit card swipe, no doubt about it. We're going to kick it right back to our sponsors here. Fatty Beer Company, Western New York's premier market and tap room with over 300 beers to choose from at 7 different Western New York locations. If you're looking for a special gift for your local beer buddy, check out their 24 Beers of Christmas Advent calendar while supplies last. A different beer for every day of the holidays. Go check it out at fattybeer.com. You can check them out on social media at Fatty Beer. Of course, Impulse Physical Therapy of Western New York. It's time to ditch the physical therapy clinics that treat you just like another number. You step into a world where you are the center of your care. Impulse is owned by Buffalo's only board-certified physical therapist. We work one-on-one using science-backed technology like 3D motion analysis and force plates. When you need to succeed your goals and become the healthiest, strongest version of yourself. So come experience the Impulse difference today and mention this for a discounted $77 assessment. And of course, as always, Extreme Discount Mattress.
We know with Skechers, your day starts with the comfort and support you need for your feet. And now that same innovation has made its way to the bedroom. Introducing the Skechers Sleep System. With cooling SketchKnit fabric, pressure-relieving Skechers Max cushioning, and our Skechers Posture Fit support system. Your day ends just like it began, with Skechers comfort that never stops. Skechers mattresses, exclusively at Extreme Discount Mattress, the lowest prices in the nation.
And thank you again to all three of our sponsors, Fatty Beer Company, Impulse Physical Therapy, Western New York, and Extreme Discount Mattress. Hurls, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
My only final thought, unrelated to the Sabres at the moment. I went to Syracuse, if people don't know, and they just beat number 13 Tennessee, which is probably their biggest win in a long time. But this is
in hockey,
in basketball.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. They don't have a D1. I'm sorry.
But like a very prominent Division I basketball program won a national championship. Yeah. All 4 years I was there, we were ranked number 1 at one point, went to the Final Four twice. This is a very proud basketball program. And they're 7-1. They just beat number 13 Tennessee. And the fans stormed the court. Like, what are you doing? Like, what is going on?
The fans storm the court after beating who again?
Number 13 Tennessee. And
fuck it, storm the court.
I get no. This is where I draw the line. That's okay. That's a big win, but you do not storm the court for beating number 13 Tennessee as a very proud basketball program. That's soft in my opinion.
All right, man. Hey, man.
I just saw that and I got fired up. But either way, sticking with other Western New York, sports coming up. Yeah, this is a big road trip for the Sabres, and I am hopeful for 8 of 12 points. I think I went through earlier, and I'll give a prediction for what I think is going to happen. I have a game-by-game prediction, and let's see if it actually comes to fruition. Not only potentially overtime losses, overtime wins, but this is what I have, and let's see how close I am.
And so you said 7 points out of 12 to be successful, but predict the road trip real quick.
Yeah. I would like 8. That would be ideal. So I think they get the win tomorrow night. I think they'll be motivated by trying to get a 3-game win streak for the first time this season. Personally, they're as healthy as they've been. I think Philadelphia's good, but not that good. And I think coming off the momentum of last night and in a typical spot where you think they'd have a letdown, I think they could get a win tomorrow night. Whether that be, I'm not predicting a regulation win, but whether that be in regulation, overtime, or shootout, I think they get 2 points tomorrow night. At Winnipeg, I said overtime loss strictly because seeing the same team twice in 1 week is tough. And I think that team is still really talented and pretty good at home. And I think they'll be able to respond, and at least getting a point out of a game like that could be a good thing to get. At Calgary, I'm going to say they win that game. I think they're let down against you have to, number one, but I think they're let down against Calgary a couple weeks ago probably stuck with them. And I think they directly responded to that loss with those 2 games that I was at, the 9-3 win against the Blackhawks and also the 4-1 win against the Hurricanes. So I think they win that one in regulation. I think, unfortunately, it's a back-to-back in Edmonton, who has been a little bit better as of late, and I think we all know the talent that Edmonton has. I think
David and Draisaitl. You never count those guys out.
I think more than likely they lose in Edmonton, and I'm as of right now, I have that as a regulation loss. Who knows if they are able to get it to overtime, but I'll put a regulation loss there. I'm saying they go to Vancouver, who everybody knows, or at least a lot of people know. They have put a lot of their guys. There's trade rumors out there. It's not necessarily the best situation at the moment. I'm saying overtime win or shootout win in Vancouver. They typically play well at home, and they obviously have a lot of talent. But I think they're able to sneak out 2 points there. And then at Seattle, I have an overtime or a shootout loss because they haven't been great in Seattle. Seattle's a pretty good defensive team. They're not a bad team so far this season, but that could be a tough situation to be in. Either way, all of that considered is 8 points. And 8 points in which way you get them out of 12 points, in my opinion, would be a success. That's only 1 regulation loss, which is paramount. And then after that, they would be 14, 12, and 6 with 34 total points. So that's my official prediction. Let's see how close they get.
I love it. I think you're right. I think if they can somehow pull out 8 points out of here, not somehow, I think it's very possible that they can. It's possible they can take the first 3 games.
I think they need to stress, even if, especially against like Western Conference teams, I guess it doesn't matter as much in terms of conference standings, but trying to get that loser point no matter what. A regulation loss is crippling at the moment, and you don't want to lose position in a middling Eastern Conference by losing in regulation.
Oh, not to break off, but Predators are up 4-0 on the Flames in what's been dubbed as the McKenna Bowl. Flames fans are probably ecstatic right now. Kind of having a little PTSD reading that tweet right there. So,
hey, at least we're not playing in the McKenna Bowl as
I don't want to go through that again. If we win the lottery pick, great. If not, whatever. I don't want to be anywhere close to that lottery pick. That being said, guys, we will talk to you soon. Potentially tomorrow night for another post-game show. But until then, as always, go Sabres. We'll talk to you later.